Good morning. Uh, so we're going to read the Mahabharat. So it's a very easy session. And if you like to discuss any point in between, then just say so and we'll discuss any point in between. So we'll start with the reading.
Section 1. Zoom in. Section 1. Anukramanika Parva.
Anukramnika Parva. Now, Parva means an episode. Anukramnika. Anu means to follow. Kram means an order, to follow a certain order. So, before starting the book, the horizontal time, these episodes, he's giving us a kind of, what do you call, uh, a kind of hint of where he's going to take us, that he's going to take us through events in a certain chronological order, right? This happened today, this will happen day after, this will happen day after, in a certain chronological order. Now, the word parva means episode, but there's a deeper meaning of the word parva. And a deeper meaning of the word parva is the conjunction or the opposition or of the sun and moon. Right? So sun is the Pingla Nadi and moon is the Ida Nadi. So he's saying that everything that happens in horizontal time, all the events that we pass through from birth to death, they are in the Anukramanika Parva. But if I rise in a state of consciousness, then it is because of the conjunction of sun and moon. It is because the moon and sun, the Sushumna and Ida, have come together in a certain balance. And in that balance, there is a rise of consciousness in the Sushumna Nadi. There's a rise of prana in the Sushumna Nadi. And that has a byproduct, the what you call the resultant of that rising is consciousness. Right? So he's saying everything that happens in life follows a certain order, certain chronological order. But to be separate from that, to rise in that, it can happen in only two possibilities. Either the sun and moon come together, or the sun and moon are in opposition, that is, they are balanced with each other. Right? So either they merge into each other or they form a balance with each other. In those two positions, we move from Anukramnika Parv to a different order, a different state of consciousness. We move up in the ladder of time, on the ladder of consciousness. Right? So he's giving us some hint when he starts this, that what he is going to tell us in this book of his, this massive book of his. Right? Any questions you can ask. Any questions you can ask. Right? So we'll go ahead with the reading. You don't have to read this one, then start from one. Is there a footnote?
Jai.
Acha, he's given a footnote, yeah.
The word Jai means victory and was also the title of an original and shorter version of the Mahabharat. So this invocation, which is not part of the main text, can be interpreted in two different ways: a literal uttering of the word victory or a recital of the Mahabharat.
So he says this Jai is an invocation. Jai is an, what is an invocation? Who can tell me what is an invocation? What is an invocation? No one? All tired from yesterday's journey or today's journey? Or what is an invocation? Okay, can you bring my notes on invocation? It's in which sutra?
I have a PDF of that. I can share it.
Yeah, please do. But then you'll have to read it because I can't see the PDF.
I will give you of that.
Inviting the higher. You know already, you've been in two camps, we've talked about invocation. We've not talked, we're not allowed to speak. Huh? Right? Jai, he says, it is an invocation. There are two words we use, Jai and Vijay. Vijay. So when I conquer something outside of myself, it is Vijay. But when I conquer the inner ego, when I conquer the inner self, it becomes Jai. Right? So, no, you'll have to put it there. No? You don't, I don't need.
Okay.
How will you put it there if you give it to me here?
Okay.
You put it there and read it. I don't need it. Yeah. Huh?
I'm just telling them anyway. For screen sharing, we use a software.
Achha.
Should I start reading in the meantime till it comes up?
Yeah, I'll just explain these two words, Jai and Vijay. So the inner Jai, the conquest of the inner self, is an invocation. It is an invocation. The self is in some higher dimension of time and space. Our ego is in a lower dimension of time and space. And the ego has to decide that now I want to give up this control of this body brain system and I invite the higher self to take over the control of the body brain system. This is the meaning of invocation. So he starts the Mahabharat with the word Jai, inner victory, right? Even though this is a battle between two, what you call, forces on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, leading up to that, the first word he uses is Jai. It is an inner victory. It has nothing to do with the outside. Nothing to do with the outside. And it is an invocation, right? For that victory, you have to learn the art of invoking, right? He'll read some notes. We just took these notes in the previous two camps, right? So I just wrote them a few days ago on what is invocation.
Open the Edge browser. Edge browser. I will just start reading till it comes
Can you
up.
see it? Can they see it?
I
Keto, wait till it comes on the screen, Keto.
The internet is a little slow.
Yeah, done.
Done? Okay.
Just open the. Maybe that's disconnected now. Oh, I disconnected again. Are you? हाँ. आज एक सुनिए चलिए देखा. बस सुन देखा. The window that's open. That's so.
Just
Let
zoom
us
in,
begin
please.
by understanding what the invocation implies.
What is the meaning of the word invocation? And not just the literal meaning, what is the sensitivity of the word invocation?
First, it implies that humans can call things to them.
It means we can call, we can ask. We can ask in our dimension of time and space. We can ask for something from a higher dimension of time and space. Right?
This is a very important point. It is possible for us to ask and then receive.
So if we ask, we can receive also. Right?
There must be an asking, ahvan karna, प्रार्थना करना.
There must be an asking. We must pray for that, right? And this asking must be in the form of what do you call? Uh, it is in the form of a request. It is not saying that I want this. I would like to have this. Would you please give me this? There is a kind of request. There is a kind of prayer in that asking. Now, this is the culmination of our spiritual journey. So please understand this properly, right? For those who are seriously wanting to walk on the path, because this is what should happen to each one of us, right?
Real asking is a special state. You,
Is a special state, right? So you have to come into that state of asking. It is not just the repetition of verbal words in the what do you call thinking part of the mind. You're not just using the thinking. It is a question of like when you're thirsty, there's a thirst for that. Then you're in a state of thirst. So similarly, real asking is a inner state. You have to be in that state of asking.
usually, we ask as a kind of complaint, as a statement that we are lacking something.
So, when we usually ask for help or we usually ask for something, it is a kind of complaint that I don't have this, I don't have enough money in the bank, please shower some coins or something from the top or something of that sort, right? So, our asking is that I don't have something, you give it to me, right? That cannot work. That kind of asking cannot work. Now, before we ask for anything, what would the preamble be? What would be the prerequisite be for asking? We would have to come to the present moment. We must come to the present moment. You cannot daydream and ask, right? I'm daydreaming and then I ask in a daydream. It's not possible. There first must be a coming into the present moment. Only in the present moment are the two lines of time connected, right? The horizontal line composed of events, parva, he says this parva, episodes, right? The horizontal, which move in a horizontal kram, anukramnika. But each point, which is a present moment in that, it is cut by a higher line of time, and that is the line of consciousness. That is the line of rising higher, right? But to access that, we have to come to the present moment. See, you're sitting over here. Now you'll sit for 1.5 hours. But in those 1.5 hours, how many seconds will you be in the present moment? Because whenever we are thinking, we are never in the present moment. It is not possible, right? Because one of the constituents of thought is memory. So thought can never allow us to be in the present moment. That is why we have to bring the energy of sensitivity to the present moment. The energy of sensitivity. We sense the present moment. And in that sensing, the thoughts calm down and there is a feeling of the present moment. In that we can ask now, right? So first, in the present, we ask. What do we ask for? Tell us.
Usually, we ask as a kind of complaint, as a statement that we are lacking something, or our asking is a kind of demand.
Right. Or we ask like a demand. I deserve this. Why am I not getting this? If she can get it, why can't I get it? Right? But none of this is going to work.
Perhaps you ask with the expectation that you will be denied.
Now, if the thought comes in that I will be denied, if there's an expectation that, you see, our world is the world of duality. If I expect her to be good to me, then somewhere there is the thought within me that she is not going to be good to me. That is why that expectation is there. If I know she's going to be good to me. There is no expectation. I just know, right? There's no expectation. So if there is the expectation, will I get it or I won't get it, then within me somewhere there is the thought that I may not get it. And that will not allow it. That will not allow it, right?
All these forms of asking are unworthy and unlikely to succeed.
Such asking can never succeed.
Real asking is a supplication.
It is a supplication. It is the art of surrendering. It is in that asking the I dissolves. Right? It is an art of surrendering. Real asking. It is a supplication. You're not asking, you're requesting. You're requesting. Right? And it is what you call a kind of, that is why they, in the Shastras, before they ask, they praise. They call it a stuti. Stuti, where you praise, right? By praising, then within the praising there is the asking. Within the praising there is the asking.
Real asking is a supplication based in quiet submission.
In quiet submission. I surrender, yeah. The? Yeah. Stuti. There is a stuti, right? So, in the, what do you call, we have one story of Nal and Damayanti. So, now, in that, the culprit, the villain of the whole story is somebody, is a god called Kali. He's the villain of the whole story. He created all the circumstances. And he's hiding in this tree. He's hiding in this tree. Now, Nal can only force him to leave the tree if he gives the exact number of the leaves of the tree. If he gives the exact number of the leaves of the tree. So before this, Nala has gone to another king and learned the art of knowing the leaves of the tree. Right? So he knows how to count the leaves of the tree, but he doesn't say, he first gives a stuti, first praises the tree. He first praises the tree. You please release this person. And then he says, this is the number of this thing. So in what you call Sanskrit, there is always the praising comes first. Always the praising comes first. Supposing you have come from Bombay, right? So I cannot ask, where have you come from? Right? In Sanskrit, I cannot ask. Now, of course, in modern Sanskrit, they will ask, where have you come from? I have to ask in a different way, in a way of supplication, in a way of praise. So I have to ask, which place is crying that you have come here and is, what do you call, is living in virha of you, living, can you understand? Right? So that was the language of the Shastras, the language of the Shastras. Which place is crying without your presence? Right? So then you'll say, I have come from Bombay. Right? So that is a, what you call, different way. So in the Shastras, before asking for everything, there is always that state of praising. Praising is not the exact word, because sometimes to translate things into English, it is a state of gratitude. It is a state of gratitude. When you're in a state of gratitude, there is no expectation. There is no expectation whether you'll get it or you won't get it, right? So there's a state of gratitude in that you ask for what you want, you plead for what you want, and it is a kind of inner surrender, right? Yeah, please. Oh yeah, we have a rule here. You have to speak in the mic.
Okay. It's on. Okay, so in the stuti, when you said the submission, so I have actually already invoked the God, right? When I'm giving gratitude, I have actually already invoked the God.
No, then I ask. I ask. In the stuti, there will be a form of asking. First, I'll praise the tree, and in that, then I will ask the tree to release this guy who is hiding inside of him.
Yes, but before I ask and in submission, it doesn't mean that I have already invoked to give my thanks and submission to
Yeah.
the God.
So, in that asking,
Exactly.
I've asked, and there is gratitude.
So I was just asking, in the gratitude, it's like I have already invoked the God to say thank you to him.
Yeah.
And then I ask after the stuti.
First, I praise, and then
Yes.
I ask.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
I ask. But it is asked in a way of gratitude,
Huh.
supplication. There's a way of gratitude.
1 second. Thank you, sir.
You know, he was in the Berda tree. The Berda tree. So he then has to come out of the tree. Now, Kali is a god. He's one of the devas, the deva of conflict. Kali means Kal means to create conflict. Kal means time also. Kal means darkness also. Right? If we go into each word, we will never end over here. So, when he comes out of the tree, he sings first a stuti to the tree, which, what do you call? Looked after him for so much time. Huh? Housed him for so much time that he could stay in the tree. And in that stuti, he says that anyone who cuts a small part of your root early in the morning on Vaishak Sud Satam, right? Vaishak Sud Satam, and puts it in his safe deposit, that safe deposit vault will never be empty of riches and things like that. So that is how he gives back to the tree. And he says, this I'm saying for the whole of humanity. This I'm saying for the whole of humanity. Can you see? So, and all this is in the Mahabharat. All this is in the Mahabharat. Because the Mahabharat is story within story. It is not just the battle of, what do you call, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Right? There are so many upakhyan, they call it, the side stories. And within the side stories, there are again side stories. Okay? And so that is why it is so rich and so, what do you call? Right. Go ahead.
Still, one thing remains. Why does the deity need praise from the other? The deity needs praise. It's what it looks like. Actually, it doesn't.
The
So,
deity does not need
I know
praise.
it doesn't.
But when I am in a state of thankfulness, I rise to a higher part of my being.
Correct.
My being is like a spectrum, it is like a ladder. Now, if I'm cursing you and giving you all kinds of galis, which part of my being am I in? The gutter part, right? Huh? Or if I'm getting angry upon her, then I'm definitely in the lower part of my being, right? Or if I'm begging from her, then I'm in a lower part of my being. But here, when you want to ask what is given to us, our own structure, which Tawariya Sahib calls my structure of acceptance, right? So he says, when you ask, you may not be able to ask from here, but in your own structure, you can rise to the higher part and ask from there, right? Then there are more chances that something will come. But you cannot ask from the lower part of your structure. And in that asking from the higher part, my structure will change. The higher part will become lower, and a new higher part will come to join my structure. And that is the meaning of my rising in consciousness. Right? Okay.
Real asking is a supplication based in quiet submission.
So supplication with submission. Submission.
The one who invokes, relaxes, and gives way. Prayerful request for something.
Right? So there's a request that you come. You see, the body brain system of man, right, is a product of evolution. It has come from down to up. When we read Tawariya Sahib's Purpose of Birth and Death, he talks about involution and evolution. So, there is an involution of the divine fragment. But at a certain point, the divine fragment cannot evolve any further as a divine fragment. It has to evolve as universal mind. Right? It has to evolve as universal mind. So the divine fragment is left, and the divine fragment enjoys the involution through universal mind. Can you understand? Do you know the difference between individual mind and universal mind? What is the difference between individual mind? I'm taking their examination, your students. Yeah, let's see. What is the difference between individual mind and universal mind?
I was going to reply, but then it struck me that it's an examination.
Pardon?
I said I was tempted to reply, but then it struck me that this is actually your test going on.
What is the difference? Go on.
Can I
Yeah.
prompt someone to
Prompt someone, push someone,
some cheating or something?
push someone in through the abyss.
Some cheating by the
Yeah.
breath.
Everything is fair in love and war.
चलो जल्दी से.
And we are talking about war, Mahabharat, the big war. Yeah.
इंडिविजुअल माइंड जो कि हम एक इंडिविजुअल लोग हम लोग पोजेस करते हैं, और यूनिवर्सल माइंड जो डिवाइन जो कि पूरा यूनिवर्स को गवर्न करता है, जो करता है. दैट्स व्हाट आई अंडरस्टैंड.
See, in universal mind, there will be no individual free will. In individual mind, there will be individual free will. So in a plant, there is which mind? Universal mind. Right? So if the sun rises in this direction, the plant will send its leaves in that direction. One plant, individual plant cannot say, I'm in depression, I want to send my leaves in this direction. A man can say, sun rises in this direction, I don't want to look at the sun, I want darkness. Right? So, the plant does not have any choice. Can you get it? If you see amongst animals, if another animal comes into another animal's, what do you call?
Territory.
Territory, they both will have to fight till there is submission. Right? Now, if somebody else comes in my territory, I say, Dara Singh has come. Right? I'm not going to fight with him. Can you see? So there's an individual mind. Can you get what I'm trying to say? But the animal can't say, Dara Singh has come, and I won't fight with him. It has to fight with him. So at a certain point where there is no individual free will, the divine fragment had to stop, and it experiences the lower layers through universal mind. Through universal mind. Right? So now the body-brain system, it goes right down to Nadir and it comes up. Involution to evolution. Thank you. The body-brain system is a product of evolution. Right? The body-brain system is a product of evolution. But it came to a certain point in evolution where the divine fragment could meet it. And that was only in the human system. Only in the human system. Is this clear or not clear? Huh? Not clear. Don't listen nod your head. Right? If you sit like this, you'll think too much. Right? If you sit with your legs like this, then this guy, this monkey, he gets overactive. Relaxed. Right? It's tense. The more the muscles are tense, the more this guy chatters. Okay. So, where were we? Right. So, the individual mind now wants to rise to a higher plane in its own structure and ask from there. Let's continue with that. Yeah.
Presence always exists, but it is often not present.
So, that higher self we call as presence. What do we call that higher self as? Presence. But to call the presence, we have to be present. To call the self, we have to be present. So, first there is the coming of being present in the present moment. Then you move into the higher time and call the self. You request the self. And this is the process of invocation. The process of invocation.
Therefore, the invocation is for presence to be present in the present. In the
And the
tangible
presence
here
can
and now.
only come in the present. The present can only come in the presence can only come in the presence. In the present. Sorry, present. So there are two things: my presence and the present moment. So first I bring the machine, right, the body-brain system into the present moment, and then I ask, and at a certain point, if there is a descent, right, I rise in consciousness, there's a descent of presence, then I'm filled with that presence. Presence, right? This is the meaning of invoking. I have to invoke that presence from a higher time and space. Right?
This form of invocation also implies that experiencing the present is not the same thing as being present.
It doesn't mean just experiencing the present. First, there must be an experience of being present, coming into the present moment. Right?
The present is here and now.
Here now, the present.
And being present is I am here now.
That I has come, the higher I. First there is here now, and then the I descends. I here now.
But the I is not like any I that I know.
Now, what is our feeling of I? What is our feeling of I? And what would the feeling of I be through invocation? What is the feeling of I? Come on. What constitutes our feeling of I? Yeah, an ego, right? But what goes in the makeup? It starts with the name. So there are three parts of I. Three parts of I. The real part, the relative part, and the false or imaginary part. Right? The name is the beginning of the, what do you call, relative and the false. Right? I have a feeling that I'm a father because my son is in front of me. That is which part? Relative part. For those few moments that my son is in front of me, I have become a father. But I have a ego that I'm a very good father. That is a part of the imaginary part. Right? And I have a feeling of I which is beyond father and everything, right? Which has come from some other dimension. That I cannot have a son or cannot have a brother or anything. That is just the seer of the whole game of life. Then that is the real I. That is just the real I. So when we use the word I, none of us experience the real I. We are either experiencing the imaginary or the relative. Which one are we experiencing the most? I, because supposing tomorrow you will get a degree, then when you use the word I, you've included that degree in it, right? Somebody says, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all? The mirror, of course, always answers, right? You are the fairest of them all. So when I use the word I'm definitely what the mirror told me in the morning, right? I use the word I. I have a lot of money in the bank. When I use the word I also mean the money in the bank, right? So when we use the word I, it is always what a good boy am I. What a good boy am I. Can you see? Then we use the word I. From that, the imaginary, we move to the relative and we invoke the real. Here we are learning how to invoke the real, right?
Why? The sleeping machine, of course. Who else is there? By the machine, I mean the organic body and the ordinary mental apparatus together with all the usual
The
habits
body brain system. Go ahead.
and
Yeah.
identification. The machine invokes.
So I invoke as the machine, as an ego, right? The ego decides now I want to die and allow the higher self to come. That is why you've come here. Your egos have decided that enough is enough. For so many lifetimes you've been controlling my life. Now I want the ego to die and I want the higher to take its place. Can you see? In the Mahabharat, this is called as, what is it called? Bhishma, what? Ichha Mrityu. It is called as Ichha Mrityu.
In that gesture, it relaxes itself and invites another to occupy it, which is presence.
Which is presence, that higher presence, right? So it relaxes itself, and in that it allows the other to occupy it. In the Mahabharata, there is after Bhishma is on the bed of arrows, and then he's waiting to come, and then he's going to die, and he looks into the eyes of Krishna and dies, and he's allowing himself to go and Krishna to take his place, the higher self to take his place, right? And in that moment of death, there is that transformation where the ego, which the little part of the ego which he had hung on to all his life, right? My pratigya, my this thing, Hastinapur, that part of the ego which he had held on to throughout his life, looking into the eyes of Krishna, that dissolves and Krishna takes the place, the real I takes the place and he dies. Right? So that is that episode in the Mahabharata. It will come, of course, whenever we reach there, right? Invocation. He invoked Krishna, right? He invoked Krishna.
But do not think that presence is just another identity or entity of a better sort.
This is not some entity or some ghost that we are calling, right?
Presence is not a thing, an entity.
There were two ghosts in our young days. One was Casper, the good ghost, and what was the name of his cousin, the bad ghost? Sabrina was the witch. The Casper was the good ghost. What was the bad ghost? His cousin. No, his one cousin was a bad ghost. The bad ghost, which always created problems everywhere. Casper was the good ghost. I can't remember that. Anyway, so we won't invoke a ghost. We'll invoke the real I, right?
Presence is a state of being which is entirely without boundaries to define it.
So this I, which I've had till now, right? It has boundaries. It has boundaries. When do we experience these boundaries in my feeling of I? When do we experience boundaries in our feeling of I? When do we experience boundaries? Don't go daydreaming. Huh? When do we experience boundaries in our feeling of I? Come on, you prompt someone. Should I have a long stick to prompt someone? Huh? Yeah. When we, right, but why does it happen? Why does it happen? It is because it is outside the boundary. Nay, you not got it as yet. Right? Supposing she says you're a very selfish person. I get upset, I get angry. Why do I get angry? Why do I get upset? No, I'm talking in boundaries. In the boundary of my feeling of I, selfishness is not in that boundary. It is outside that boundary. I don't consider myself selfish. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So, what I have not included in my feeling of I is where I get upset in life. Or sometimes we use the words. What words do we use? What words? I have come to my limit. This is all I can endure. Now, if you say one more word, right, I'll give it back to you. Can you see? So, in this, we have a feeling of I, but that I has created boundaries. Now, what is he saying? When that I comes, what happens? When that I comes, what happens?
It is a state of being which is entirely without boundaries to define
Without
it.
boundaries. Suddenly, for the first time in our life, we have invoked an I which is totally without boundaries. Totally without boundaries. Right? Right? When Shankaracharya invoked this I, he said, Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. There's no boundaries. The whole Brahmand is within me. The whole Brahmand is within. Suddenly that feeling of that I which he invoked. Get it? Go ahead.
Presence conveys a sense of existing, but not as something.
Now I'm existing, but not as something. Till then I was existing as a name. Till then I was existing, I've got a BA degree. Till then I was existing as I am a father. Till then I was existing that so many people know me. Till then I was existing, or I have so much money in the bank. Right? Till then I was existing, what a good person am I. Right? Now I am existing, nothing to hold on to. Nothing to hold on to. Read that line again.
Presence conveys a sense of existing, but not as something.
Not as something, as everything or nothing at the same time. Suddenly I'm nothing or I'm everything at the same time. Right? Then I am you and you are me. Can you see? Right? Suddenly it is as if you've expanded and included everything, everyone's thoughts, everyone's, problems within you. You expanded. This is called consciousness, an expansion of consciousness.
Presence knows directly and immediately that it is present.
It knows. It knows. Now, the minute there is presence, together with that, this is an automatic outcome of presence. There's a process of knowing. There's a process of knowing. There's a process of knowing there are no boundaries. There's a process of knowing that everything is included within me. Can you know? And that knowing is immediate knowing. It is a kind of immediate knowing, right? Our knowing is based upon a kind of movement of attention. If my attention falls upon her, I know her. So there is this time in between the movement of my attention from me to her. There is a movement. Attention means light. Attention means light. So in life, I know everything through light. I know everything through light. But in the knowing of the spirit, in the knowing of the Atma, it is Swayambhu. You know because it is within you. There is no movement of light. There is no movement of attention. Attention has gone back to where it came. That is why we do darshan of the Swayambhu link. I exist because of myself. I don't exist because of anything else. Can you get what I'm trying to say? So suddenly the whole till now knowing was always a movement of light, always a movement of attention. Now suddenly there's a different kind of knowing which I have never experienced in my life. Knowing because it is I. It is not separate from I. Can you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
To be present means not being identified.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is not unusual to experience the state of presence as spacious, somewhat luminous, more aware, and so on.
Right. Must we stop here? So, what I'm trying to say over here is that you will then experience life as a spacious life, right? As if you're suddenly free from the jail. Everything is spacious, everything is full of light, full of, you see everything, you know everything, as if everything has been full of light, luminous, spacious. And the third one?
Aware.
Aware.
Oh, and you're totally aware. So what he's starting this Mahabharat, the first word he uses is Jaya. And it was not called Mahabharat, it was called Jaya. The word Mahabharat came much later on, much later on. Huh? So Mahabharat, it's called Jaya. He's saying start with an invocation of victory of self, of real self. Huh? He's starting with that. Huh? Go ahead.
Jaya must be recited after having bowed in obeisance before Narayan and also Nar.
So we bow down to Narayan and Nar. We bow down to Narayan and Ra, and we invoke the presence, and then we read this Mahabharat. But if we are not in that state of surrender, if we are not in that state of bowing down, then we should not be reading this book. Saying, before you read this book, please come into that state of bowing down to Nar and Narayana. Now, who is Nar and Narayana? Right? So, Nar is the one who leads. Nar is the one who leads. Narayana is the one who leads also, but from adharma to dharma. From adharma to dharma.
But Saab, I haven't checked out the etymology of the word nar. Would you know?
Nar
that?
means to lead.
No, that will be the English.
Nar means a gentleman.
Ah.
Gentleman. A person, a human being. No, what do you say?
I'm saying that is still the English translation,
Right.
but nar, the word itself,
It comes from ni, to lead.
from, sorry,
Ni, N-I, ni to
Ah.
lead. Need, to lead.
comes from there. So then nar has ayan attached to it. Nar ayan.
In
nar
ayan means a direction, to lead in a certain
direction.
direction. To lead in a certain direction.
Okay.
But how does he do it? Then you have to go into the deeper meaning of it. He does it by creating conflict
Correct.
in the followers of
Himself.
Nar.
Ah.
In the followers of Nar. Right? How does he do it? By creating conflict. Right? Now, so supposing there's a minister, then he is Nar. And the minister has so many followers. Right? But the minister is going on the path of adharma. So by re-educating his followers, creating a conflict amongst them, he takes the minister from the path of adharma to the path of dharma, righteousness, to the path of righteousness. It gives it direction. Ayan means to give direction. The direction of the sun, Uttarayan, towards the north, Dakshinayan, towards the south. Right? Right? So he's saying we bow down to this Nar and Narayan. Right? But there is also a personification of Nar and Narayan. What is that personification?
So Vishnu is a personification.
Narayan is Vishnu. Narayan is Vishnu. Right? And Nar is Arjun. Right? So Narayan is Krishna and Nar is Arjun. In their past life, there were two rishis called Nar and Narayan. They have come back to play this game of the Mahabharat. And Mahabharat is conflict. The one who leads to dharma through conflict. Yeah.
Bowed in obeisance before Narayan and also Nar, the supreme human being, and also the goddess Saraswati.
And also the goddess Saraswati. Saras means to flow. Huh? Where there is the flowing energy, what means to have, to own the flowing energy, to own the growing energy, right? To own the floating energy, Saraswati, right? So, in the Hindu terminology, any creation is the movement of three is Saraswati, Saraswati, right? So we'll say Ganga meets Yamuna at Prayagraj. But what is the third unseen force there? Saraswati, Saraswati, right? So Saraswati is that hidden, unseen force. And she's flowing. She's flowing. Now, birth and death are joined in time. So time is the saras, the flow from birth to death. So it is the third force, the hidden force. Everything is flowing in that movement. Everything is flowing. I may feel I'll never die. I may act with you that I'll never die. My actions also. But everything is flowing in that movement. Huh? So the third force is that which connects two opposites. The third force is that which, and it is always hidden because it is in another dimension of time. I can see birth, I can see death, I cannot see time. How time is joined, birth and death. Birth and death. Right? And birth is death, and death is birth. Both are in the same point in time. Same point in time.
So what did you say is what?
What means to own?
To own.
To own.
So then there is something called Vati over there. Vati. Or a
It becomes
container.
female. It becomes female. From what it becomes female. Vati.
But it doesn't mean a container.
No, Vati means that which I own. Right?
But not that which within which something flows.
I own the process of flowing. Time is the process
So that
of
I am the container. Okay.
to own.
Because we call this utensil a Vati.
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 Correct. So that means the same thing.
Same thing. Which holds the process.
Correct.
Which holds everything. That which holds everything. Yeah, please.
She's also the goddess of knowledge, right? Saraswati is also the goddess of knowledge.
Yeah, so now just explain that.
So, what I understood is if time is flowing,
Knowledge is a
is
flow.
flow,
It is a flow.
and it is a silent force. It is something that is there. Like she joins.
Supposing you and I have a fight, right?
Yeah.
And then we are screaming at each other, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll say 10 years ago you did this, right? And you're like this. And I know everything about you, and your actions over here were like this and this.
Yeah.
And I bring out all this from,
The past.
there's a flow of knowledge.
Yes.
But is it from higher to lower or lower to higher?
Lower to higher.
Lower. It's coming from the lower.
Yes.
Similarly, right, you may say what you're saying, we like what you're saying, and to us it is uplifting us, right?
Yes.
So then what is flowing, is it from higher to lower,
Yes.
right? Can I say that this is my knowledge? It is I who have what you call. There's nothing like my knowledge. Every knowledge is a flow. Every knowledge. So she is the goddess of flow, where knowledge flows. Right? Saraswati.
So she's also the binding force, right? The third force which
third
binds
force.
everything.
The hidden,
The hidden
which is in
force.
another dimension, which joins two things in this dimension.
Conjunction, right.
Conjunction.
So she's the third binding force.
There's only one binding force. Time.
Time, exactly.
Time relates everything in life.
So time is knowledge.
Time is.
Thank you.
How is time knowledge? Come on, now that you brought up the question, let's try to go into it.
I'm
How
really
is-
walking into this one, no?
How is time knowledge? How do I know that this distant star exists? Knowledge.
Yeah.
How do I know? Because there's a flow of light.
Light. There's a flow
But
of
that
light.
flow of light takes so much of
Time.
time. That flow of light takes so much of
Time.
time. So time allows me to know about that star. And even I don't even know, because the light, when it reaches me, whether the star is existing or not, I don't know.
Correct.
Can you get it?
Yes.
Right. But it is in time that knowledge reveals itself.
So, like you said, again, before we do anything, we do a vandana, a puja
Vandana, yeah.
of Saraswati
Saraswati.
and Ganesha, again, the god of knowledge.
Right. So, in the stream that flows, let there be higher knowledge.
So, we are invoking the third force
The third force. The third force.
to bind us, assimilate us.
See, time, within time, there is time.
Correct.
Third force is within third force, there is third force.
Third force, yes.
Explain now. Explain. Within time, there is time. I'll give you an example. Not an example, I'll give you a hint. Mark Antony in Julius Caesar. There is a tide in the affairs of men which, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Leads on out. Now explain. Time within time. Time within time. Huh? Yeah, after Julius Caesar has died, right?
And he's assimilating the army, correct.
He suddenly is addressing the citizens of
The
Rome, and in
citizens
his
of
speech he
Rome.
says, "There's a tide in the affairs of men, which, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune." One of the most profound statements. What is he saying? Supposing tomorrow, Deepak starts a business, right? So the third force is time. The profits are going to come
In time,
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what is connecting him and the profits is
Time.
time. Simple.
Yeah.
But I see his horoscope and I say, "Okay, it is not your time."
Oh,
Can you see?
yes.
So the time is going to connect, but it's not going to connect you and profits, it's going to connect you and losses. So within time there is time. Within time there is time. Right? We say his time has
Come.
come. His time has come. Right? You want to say something? You have to say in the mic.
Does that mean that time is nothing but distance between two present? Does that mean that time is distance between two present things?
Yeah, it is the stretching between the two things. It is the movement of the pendulum between two poles. Get it? Right? So you were in Bombay, you came here in
Janakeshwar.
time. So we met in time. Right? Tomorrow you'll go away. Right? So again, we will separate in time. Right? But you will qualify that time. You will say, okay, after you leave from here, you will qualify whether the time was good or the time was bad. Right? If I shouted at you and got angry at you, you'll go from here and you'll say, that time was 2 days, it went bad. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? So, within time there is time. Within time there is time. You want to go deeper into that? See, there must be a, what do you call, uh, there must be a perception of the fourth dimension. A perception. So, man lives in 3 dimensions of space. Right? So, I'm looking at you, it is 3 dimensions of space: length, breadth, and thickness. Right? 3 dimensions of space. But where are you going? Where is this 3 dimension of space going? Right? In which time is it going? Can you get it? Is the movement happiness, sadness, or pleasure, suffering? Right? Now, I meet you, it's over here, but the movement is towards suffering. Can I see that? Can you get what I'm trying to say? Right? Or you are at the peak of suffering, and I meet you and I say your day is going to change tomorrow. Can you understand? Because now the movement is going to change. Now, you're living life between 2 poles: like, dislike, yes, no, good, bad, etc., etc. Happiness, sadness. Everything in life is between 2 poles. So, the mind is nothing but strings of the pendulum. Strings of the pendulum. Each one working in a different time. Each one in that big time of me moving from birth to death. Can you understand this? Right? So sometimes we tell a person that you wait 6 months, it's not your time. Let things change. Right? Can you get? Now, so time is within time. Time has its own quality. Its own quality. Okay? Yeah. Mike. The Guru is taking away the mic. Huh?
You did not take away the mic. So when there is time within time, it's like going within layers, right? So do with time again, do these layers change?
And there is something else. There is time within time, and there is that which can observe
the whole
time,
within time. Yeah.
whatever time it is.
Yeah.
And that is separate from time, and that is the I we invoke. This is that invocation. Jaya, invoke that I, which is just the witness of this whole play of the Mahabharat. Saying, invoke that I, which is the witness of this whole play of the Mahabharat. And that I is without any boundaries. Right?
Yeah.
Huh? We are running against time. Yeah, give it to Lloyd. Lloyd, you're getting younger every day. Lloyd? Huh? Yeah.
No, you said about the horoscope. So how do the stars affect time?
They tell us of the quality of time. They tell us of the quality of time. Right? So the stars, they come together, which is called a conjunction. The stars separate. The stars aspect each other. The stars are friendly with each other. The stars are enemies of each other. And each of that tells us the quality of the time which is going to come. What kind of time is going to come? What is the quality of time? Can you understand? So if somebody, say, is entering into the 18 years of Rahu, so I will tell them that the quality of time is not very good. Don't take big risks. Don't take this. Don't. Can you get what I'm trying to say? Right? Because the big time is moving towards a period of suffering. Within that, there'll be small periods of happiness. Now, if you can balance that a little, then the suffering will not be so good. It may be better. Can you understand? So, within time, there are different times. The stars just tell us the quality of the time which is to Now you'll say, how does this happen? Is that your question? In the mic.
Okay. No, because we are made of that material that we are
Right. Because we invite what is to happen through our planetary combination.
Okay.
The planetary combination decides our point in time. So at the moment of birth, they see the combination of planets. That says that this is what your opening capital is. You have started the business of life. Can you get what I'm trying to say? This is what your opening capital is. Now, supposing negative Mars is very strong in your horoscope, then I'll tell you you're holding a lot of anger in your safe deposit vault, right? You are going to invite those kinds of events in life where you'll get more angry. So it gives me a kind of picture of what kind of time you are going to go through. Can you understand? Or I'll say that Jupiter is negative in your horoscope. I'll tell you, be careful of gambling. Right? Now, suddenly I tell you, then you will start working with your anger. You'll start working with your desire to gamble, go to the races, etc. Right? So, in that, you will change your time. That is, you're making a conscious effort to change your time. But if you become a victim of gambling, then you're just going through the old pathways in time. The old pathways in time. So that combination of your planetary vibrations, they give a kind of what kind of time you will pass through, right? It's not clear. It's clear? It's clear, right? Bolo. Anything else? We're going to finish in our next life. Huh? Uh-huh. Huh?
The great sages, performers of difficult austerities, were present at the 12-year sacrifice of Kulpati Shaunak and were comfortably seated in Naimish Aranya.
Kulpati, the head of the Kul. The head of the Kul. Kul means the clan. The word clan comes from Kul. English word clan comes from Kul, the head of the clan. Right?
May I request one thing? Ketav, quick request kar दूं क्या? Just let that be on the screen for a few more seconds because everyone has to read it as well. So
What are you
take some time. No, as you read it, then just take a pause.
Leave it on the screen. No? What are we doing? Huh. No, don't put me in. I'm here only.
No, Saab, he needs to do that for the video recording as well. So he's correct in what he's doing.
what?
For the video recording, he needs to do that. But even for the
Yeah,
video
for the-
recording, Ketav, that thing needs to be on screen. I'm just simply saying, just put in a few seconds more, everything will be all right then. Please, Saab.
I'm getting confused now.
It's all sorted now.
Right? The head of the clan. Now, here, his name is given as Shaunak. Huh? Shaunak. Shaunak means the son of Suti. Suti is the one who is born. Suti. So all the, what do you call, Puranas, the Mahabharat, everything was retold by somebody called Sut. Means a traveling bard or whatever you want to call it, right? A person who travels everybody where and recites. So he's what do you call here the Kulpati, these sages who are gathered over here, right? Their head is a rishi called Shaunak. Who is Shaunak? He is the son of Suti. Suti comes from the word su, to give birth. Suawad, what we call in Gujarati. Right? What do we call? Huh? Prasuti. Prasuti, right? So to give birth, right? Now they're seated in a forest called Naimish Aranya, right? Naimish Aranya. Naimish means Nimish, Animish. Nimish, Animish. And Nimish means the blink of an eyelid. The blink of an eyelid. So it is not Naimish Aranya means Animish Aranya. Animish Aranya. So that Aranya means a forest. Aranya means a forest. Animish Aranya means that forest in which no one sleeps. The forest in which no one sleeps. So this clearing in the forest, where Shaunak is the head, what do you call, Rishi, and all these sages are staying there, it is a place where only enlightened people are. They do not sleep, right? They do not blink an eyelid. Animish Aranya, right?
Ketav, you need to keep getting that back, because even those people who are watching the video need to
But can't you put both on the side?
Nahi,
Split, you have that software which splits everything.
Ugrashrava, the son of Lomaharshan and the son of Asuta, learned in the Puranas and also known as Suti, once approached them bowing in humility.
Yeah. Now these sages are there, and the head of these sages is somebody called Shaunak, right? Now somebody is approaching them. From far he has come. Somebody is approaching them. What is the name of the person approaching them? Ugrashrava. Ugra means high pitched. High pitch. Shrava means to hear. Right? Man can only hear to such a pitch. Right? But a dog can hear of a higher pitch. The dog is Ugrashrava. He can hear that which normal man's ears can't hear. Where do we see this? Where do we see this? Come on, where do we see this? Where do we have a practical application of this? In a dog whistle. So we blow the whistle, everybody around us cannot hear. But if the dog is far away, the dog hears the whistle and it comes. So there's a dog whistle. Can you see? So Ugra Shrava, the one who can hear the higher, pitches, the higher notes, the one, he is approaching. He is approaching. Where is he approaching? This place called Nemish Aranya, in the middle of the forest, where Rishi Shaunak is with all the other sages. They are living there in that place called Nemish Aranya. Is this now clear? And that Nemish Aranya is where no one sleeps. No one sleeps. Right? Of course, each of these words, we can go much deeper into each of these words, but
that was the point, Tosab. So I wanted to ask, Shaunak means?
Shaunak means the son of that who is born, the son of creativity. Son of creativity.
So
He's the leader of this group. Shaunak, leader.
So the one who is born and does not sleep.
He's in this area where no one sleeps.
No one sleeps.
That is allegorical.
Huh.
It is allegorical.
Meaning he's forever awake.
forever in a state of awakeness. He's in the objective state of consciousness, in the fourth state of consciousness. He lives in the fourth state of consciousness.
Correct. And he's the son, or rather,
Suti. But now somebody else who is also the son of a Suti is approaching him.
correct, Ugrashrava.
Ugrashrava. Ugrashrava.
But Ugrashrava comes in
He
in
is
humility.
coming from somewhere else. He's come after a long travel.
Saab, 1 second. Who's taking notes of the definitions? No one? Toshali, Harshita? No one? Huh? No? You are, no? Exactly the definition. Saab, sorry.
Right? Yeah.
When he reached the hermitage of Naimish Aranya, the hermits
No,
who
no, no.
were
You're the son of Lomharshan.
Ugrashrava, the son of Lomaharshan.
Lomaharshan. Now, Lomaharshan is actually Romaharshan. It is not Lomaharshan. It is Roma. Rom means hair. So, the hair standing up. The hair standing up. So, when we are in a state of exclamation, when we are in a state of surprise, right? That state is called as Lomaharshan. Lomaharshan. Right? So, each moment, the life is coming in. Life is coming in, right? It is coming in as an impression. That impression is met by memory which decodes that. And this is an automatic process of thought creation within us. An automatic process of thought creation within us. Right? And this happens in everyone. Now, when we don't allow memory to decode the impression which has come in, the impression goes on a different pathway. Right? This memory Gurdjieff calls as an association. It takes the impression to a certain eye inside, right, etc. But there is no association. Now, as long as there is memory, whatever impression is coming from outside is always taken for granted. It is always old because it is memory, being decoded by memory. Till then, I never experience the outer reality as it is. I'm always experiencing my memory. Now, at one point, if I can keep the memory on the side, if I can bypass the memory and allow the impression to go in, then Gurdjieff says it hits the center directly without the intervention of the association, without the intervention of an eye. And for the center, whatever the impression, it is always new. So there is a state of exclamation. Each moment life is new. Nothing old is coming in. And each moment when life is coming in, life as new each moment. Life is never the same. The water is flowing, but you can never put your foot in the same water because that has gone away. It has gone away. And that person is Lomharshan, who's living in a state of exclamation. Each impression is new. There's never any repetition. If she repeats something 10 times, there's never any repetition. Right? Lomharshan. Right?
And the son of a
Sut, the one who recites the Puranas.
learned in the Puranas and also known as Sauti.
He's also known as Suti. Right? He's also known as Suti. Right? And we saw Shaunak was the son of Suti. Right?
Once approached them, bowing in humility.
So he approached them. Where he came from, they didn't know. These rishis are sitting over there. And this one Suti is approaching, a bard who recites different stories and songs and all. And he's a bard where nothing is, old. Nothing is old. Whatever he recites, it may have happened thousands of years ago, but it is ever fresh. It is ever fresh. He's the son of Lomaharshan. Lomaharshan.
How would one come to know whether it is Loma Harshan or Roma Harshan, as you said. So Roma Harshan is what you said later on.
That is how it is in the Sanskrit language. Rome becomes, in speaking, becomes Lom. Now, this I don't know also. My knowledge is not so deep. You see, but Sanskrit has two parts. The meaning part and the phonetic part. So, when the meaning becomes the phonetic, they want to give you an experience of that. So, R becomes L. And there are certain grammatical, what do you call this thing?
So in writing, we write L, or is it the other way around?
Writing, we write Lo Maharshan. But when we try to interpret the word, we use the word Ro Maharshan.
Rome. Then we say it Rome.
Roma.
Because वो रोम हो जाता है, वो जो है standing on
Rua,
the edge.
Rua, they call Ruati. In Gujarati, they call it Ruati, Varni Ruati. I don't know what you call it in Hindi, I don't know.
But I get the sound of it. It is in the sound. The meaning is in the sound then. Or the experience is in the sound, is what I'm saying. Like those people in the Western world, I think in the Spanish language, they say everything जो H है उसको Y कर डालते हैं वो लोग. H को वो लोग Y कर देते हैं for some reason.
Yeah, J becomes Y.
Correct.
H becomes Y. So you
Jose
don't say
is Jose.
you don't say Jojoba, you say either Hohoba or Jojo or Yoyoba, right?
Yeah.
It's Spanish.
Spanish, yeah.
Javer becomes Haver.
Correct.
Yeah. Bolo.
We'll go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead.
We'll go on for another 5-10 minutes and then stop, right?
Okay, sir.
Right.
When he reached the hermitage of Naimish Aranya, the hermits who were the inhabitants surrounded him, wishing to hear his wonderful stories.
Yeah. So now these, what do you call, rishis are sitting over there and they see this great bard coming, the one who recounts stories and sings stories and all that, right? And he reaches there and they all have, he bows down to them, but they all have it in that we want to listen to your stories. You please tell us some stories.
Having been respectfully welcomed by those sages, he folded his palms before all those sages and asked them how their ascetic pursuits were progressing.
So he bows down to them and then he asks them how their spiritual progress is going on.
When all the sages had taken their seats again, Loma Harshan's son respectfully took the seat earmarked for him.
And then they had prepared a seat for him. He sat down on that seat.
What does harsh mean then, Saab? Rome standing on edge.
Harsh means to be in a state of exclamation.
Okay.
In a state of exclamation. And also the hair standing up means harshan. Rome means hair. Harshan means
Rome means hair and the standing on
standing
edge
up
is
of the hair. To be in a state of exclamation.
Okay. Okay. Sir.
Right? So to be in a state of explanation. What do we call it in Hindi? Exclamation? What do they call it? Huh? Adbhut sthit. Every incoming impression is adbhut. Roma harshan. Every incoming impression is adbhut.
On seeing that he was comfortably seated and noticing that he was rested from his fatigue, one of the sages began the conversation and said, "O lotus-eyed, O Suti."
Wait, I'm looking for it over here. I can't find it. One second. I found it, yeah. Can you just read it again?
On seeing that he was comfortably seated and noticing that he was rested from his fatigue, one of the sages began the conversation and said,
Oh, lotus-eyed. One of the sages. Now they want him to say. So, like I said, in the old days, you cannot ask somebody to, what do you call, please tell us your stories or something of that sort. You have to first praise him. You have to first, you are invoking those stories from him. right? So saying, "Oh, lotus eyed." Now, each of these has a very deep meaning, because if you see the lotus flower, water doesn't stick to the lotus. Water does not stick to the lotus. The lotus grows from mud but it is never touched by the mud, right? It grows out of the mud, but it is never touched by the mud. So he's saying, "Oh, lotus eyes, in your perception, right? Your perception is so pure. Your perception is so pure. It is not touched by the mud of life. Your perception is so pure. It is not touched by the mud of life, right? Your eyes, that means you're an enlightened person. They are, what do you call, praising him. You're an enlightened person. Whenever you look at anything, it is not, what do you call, colored by the memory of the past, right? I look at her, but I say, "Are she insulted me yesterday?" I colored by the memory of the past. I'm not really looking at her. I'm looking at my own memory. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So they're saying, "Oh, lotus-eyed, one who is clear," and a lotus, it grows out of the mud, but the mud never reaches it, and the water which falls on the lotus slips down, right? So it enjoys life, but never gets stuck in life at all, right? So, lotus-eyed.
O lotus eyed, O Suti, I am asking you, tell me the details of where you have come from. Also, where have you spent the time?
Where have you come from and where have you been spending time? Now, he asked them, "How is your time going in your spiritual pursuits?" Now they are asking him, where have you spent your time? Where did you spend your time? Right.
Suti said, the great souled royal sage and the lord of earth, Janamajaya, the son of Parikshit, organized a snake sacrifice.
Janmajay. The one who is born to be victorious. The one who is born to be victorious. Right? So Janmajay, the great king Janmajay, right? He says, the great souled. He's not an ordinary king. He's a great soul inside. Right? Now, when we look at people's, horoscope, many things tell us the quality of the soul. What is the quality of the soul? How much the soul has been freed of the mud of life, right? So he's saying the great soul, Janmajay, right? And Lord of the earth, Mahipati, the Lord of the earth. Mahi means the earth, Pati means Lord of the earth, right? I think that would be the word used over there, right? The son of Parikshit. The son of Parikshit. Parikshit was Abhimanyu's son. Parikshit was Abhimanyu's son, right? And Parikshit has many meanings, but we'll try to just see what it means over here. Is that Abhimanyu died and Parikshit was in the womb of Uttara. Now, after the Mahabharat, from the Kaurav side, only 3 people, remained, right? One was Ashwatthama, one was Krutavarma, and one was the Kul Guru Kripacharya. 3 people from the side of the Kauravas. Ashwatthama, the dying Duryodhan, he takes his own blood and he makes a tilak on Ashwatthama and he says, "You still keep the war on." So that night, Krutvarma, Ashwatthama, and Krupacharya, they go into the Pandav camp and in their sleep they kill everybody. But the 5 Pandavas and Krishna had come into the Kaurav camp to spend the night. They had come into the Kaurav. So they could not kill the 5 Pandavas and Krishna. But they killed everybody else, all Draupadi's children, right? All her brothers, the warrior, what do you call the warriors from the Panchal. So the rest of the army was totally annihilated in the night, and they did it by creating ghosts and all that. And it was a very, what do you call, gory and a kind of description of warfare which is very difficult to digest, right? And all Draupadi's children were killed. So the 5 Pandavas had 5 children with Draupadi. All of them were killed by, what do you call, Ashwatthama. Now, if you study Gurdjieff, right? So in Gurdjieff, there is a part where there are life eyes and work eyes. Life eyes are those which take us more into the sleep of life. And work eyes are those which help the real eye to awaken from the sleep of life. But once the real eye has awakened, he does not need life eyes or work eyes. So in the Mahabharata, all of them are annihilated. What remains? What remains that in Uttara, that was Abhimanyu's, wife, in her womb was a child, right? And that child was in the womb, and Abhimanyu then came, and he said, Ashwatthama came, and he said, he sends the Brahma Astra into Uttara's womb, and he says, I will kill that child. So there's no child, and Krishna stops the Brahma Astra, and he gives new life to that child, right? And because that child went through the pariksha of death and rebirth, he goes through the pariksha of death and rebirth, right? He is called as Parikshit. Parikshit. Can you get it? So, who is Janmajay? He is the son of Parikshit, right? Now, Parikshit, as the king, he was a good king, and the Pandavas, 36 years after the Mahabharat war, they make their trip to heaven and they dissolve into the ultimate. And Parikshit is given the kingdom. And Parikshit, once he is, going somewhere, and after a battle, he is very thirsty and very tired, and he stops at an ashram. And he stops in an ashram and he asks the rishi for water. He asks the rishi for food. And the rishi is in deep meditation, so he does not hear his asking. And so Parikshit is very angry that I am the king and the rishi is not even responding to me. So he takes a dead snake and he puts it around the thing, right? Now, this whole episode, that dead snake was nothing but, someone called Takshak. Takshak means the ego, the one who does. Right? Now, the son of the rishi sees the king humiliating his father by putting a garland of a dead snake around him. So he curses Parikshit, right? That, you will die by the bite of a snake and you will die in 7 days by the bite of a snake, right? And so then that snake is Takshak. Now there's a past in this, that when there was the burning of the Khandav won by Arjun, right? Takshak's whole family is destroyed, but at that time Takshak had gone to meet Indra, so Arjun could not destroy Takshak. So Takshak remains after the Mahabharat, right? And he now wants to kill Parikshit. And Takshak is going. So Parikshit then decides that he will have a yagna, a big yagna in which he will kill all the snakes. If all the snakes die, right, then what do you call? No, sorry, that Janmajay has. Parikshit then is now building a fort where no snake can attack him. So Takshak is going to meet Parikshit, and he meets this Brahmin on the way, and he asks the Brahmin, he says, what? He says, I have the remedy of the snake bite. I have the remedy of the snake bite, and I'm going to give it to the king, the Parikshit, and he'll give me a lot of money in return. So Taksha says, you give it to me, I'll give it to the king. You take as much money as you want. And he gives him a lot of money. And the Brahmin goes away. And he doesn't send, he goes into an apple. Parikshit bites that apple and he, what do you call, kills the Parikshit. Parikshit dies. So Janmai has a yagna in which he is going to kill all the snakes. And at this yagna, what do you call, there is a rishi called Vaishampayan. He is the disciple of Vyasa, who wrote the Mahabharat. And Vaishampayan recounts the Mahabharat at this yagna. This guy, the son of Lom Harshan Suti, he hears this and now he is coming. See, everything is in a flashback over here. Flashback by flashback. So there is this, what Mahabharat we are going to hear now is the one which Suti told to, what do you call, the Rishis Shaunak in the Naimisharanya. But that Mahabharat was told by Vaishampayan to Janmajay. That Mahabharat happened before that, and before that, what do you call, and before, after that it was written by Vyas. So in so many what do you call, we are going into so many, what do you call, flashbacks. So many flashbacks, right? And all this has meaning. Each of this has meaning. We'll take it in the afternoon. What is the meaning of the flashback, right? Okay.
The very beginning where we have Daksh. So, if you don't mind, Sab, ek 5 minutes.
What?
कुछ तो अटक गया. हाँ.
Yeah.
No, from the tree.
Which?
Yes.
We'll take that in a separate one, not this time. In a separate session, we'll take the whole family
What
tree.
I was thinking, suppose in one session, if you take at least one from the beginning, because that is at the beginning. And of course, this will take us, as I said, 100 lifetimes, but we begin from Daksh. If you can just touch upon that.
Daksh means the one who is clever. Right? Daksha Prajapati, the one who is clever. And I'll have to go into that. I have not seen that.
But he's the father of Sati.
Huh?
He's the father.
Father of... I don't know if it's the same one. I'll have to go through that. I have not seen that. This one.
Name Aditi. Parvati.
This I'll have to go through.
Yes, sir.
So we can't talk about this time because each of these words are very deep.
Correct.
So I'll have to work upon this.
Okay, sir.
What he means in this genealogy. Right? So we'll have to go. We'll take that next time.
हाँ sir. ठीक है.
Next time. Right? Because Pururva and then Ayu and then Nahusha, from there I'm little familiar, but how it came from Daksh to Aditi to Vivashwata and then Manu, right? So I'll have to go through all that.
Manu is mind.
Manu is the mind, yeah.
Correct. So I when we look at Daksha, who's the father of Sati, who's married to Shiv, and then she dies, he marries, there's another one now called Parvati, her name changes. Here it is Aditi. Then,
Nee, Aditi
what
is
is
the mother
Aditi?
of the Adityas, right? So, from Daksha, there were two. Uh, the Devas, the Surs and the Asurs.
Both.
The Asurs were born from Aditi and the Surs were born from somewhere else. I'll have to go into all that. I don't. Huh?
But this
Diti,
is
Diti.
this is the father of all creation.
Yeah, but we'll have to go into all that.
fine.
It's a very. I can't do it without homework. I can't do it without homework.
ठीक है sir.
Okay. Yeah. What's your name? Siddharth. You stayed on. Huh? You stayed on from the previous camp.
I went back, sir. I came again.
No, you were in the previous camp.
Yes, sir.
For one day you went back and came.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Sir, through horoscope, the planetary combinations invites events in our life. Also, sir, through
The
memory.
planetary combination tells us what kind of events we are going to invite. The quality of events which we are going to invite.
Also, sir, through memory patterns, the emotions we have within us, also the events are invited.
The memory patterns are nothing but a rearrangement of the planetary combination. What is a memory pattern? Tell me.
Sir, any reaction to any emotion like anger, fear, weakness for sex, or anything like that, which is mechanical.
Any memory pattern is a combination of planetary influences. Right? You're feeling jealous of her. That jealousy is becoming a memory pattern with all the patterns of jealousy lying inside. So I have a group of memory patterns which are of, say,
Jealousy.
jealousy. Those are going to invite events in my life. Now, what is jealousy? Is it a negative part of Venus? Can you understand? Is it combined with a negative part of Mercury, the cunningness which comes out of jealousy? So, all memory patterns are nothing but planetary combinations. If I'm jealous, is my Venus negative becoming more powerful within me? Or is my negative Venus in the horoscope making me feel jealous? You're not understanding. Then say yes. Don't sit like a zombie. Say yes. You understand what I'm trying to say? So all memory patterns, all sanskars which are lying within me are planetary combinations. Now when a person is born, we try to see what are the combinations he has come with. And what will those combinations, what kind of events those combinations will invite, and what will they make him do? How will they make a slave of him to face those events? And how he can get out of that. That is what we see. No? Because in the end, everything is a planetary combination. Keep the mic close.
Sir, the intensity with which any event happens in a life or the time span after which the event happens in a life will depend on what factors, sir?
Supposing you want to be Prime Minister, it will depend on which factors.
In correlation with the pattern.
You want to be Prime Minister, your party has to have majority in Parliament. No. Only then you can be Prime Minister. Only Mr. Narasimha Rao was there. He had a minority and he was Prime Minister. Right? Can you understand? Your party has to have majority. Majority means intensity. Right? Can you get it? You have 100 patterns of jealousy. I have 1,000 patterns of jealousy. Whose intensity of jealousy is more? Answer the question. You don't sit like
1,000.
that. Huh? Answer
1,000.
the question. Whose intensity is more?
1,000 patterns.
1,000 patterns. There is a resultant intensity of all the patterns of anger. See, if I have 1,000 patterns of anger, then my anger will be of that intensity or can go to that intensity. But I have only 100 patterns of anger, then it can only go to this intensity. Similarly, 1,000 patterns will invite certain events with a certain intensity, but 100 patterns will invite certain events with a different intensity. Then you're not getting it,
I'm getting it, sir. I'm getting it.
right?
Understood, sir.
Right? So, how many members of your political party will decide whether you're prime minister or not? Can you get what I'm trying to say? All these
Yes, sir.
patterns are nothing but political parties, right? They make you angry, right? You become angry, so the pattern increases or decreases?
Increases.
Increases, no? So now the political party of anger is more powerful. Can you get it? Definitely their prime minister is going to come. But the political party of generosity, small party, right? So it can only invite so much of events. So that totality of all the patterns will have a certain resultant intensity. This Mr. Tavaria calls your structure of acceptance. You can only invite so many kinds of patterns in your life. You cannot invite above or below. You understand? I don't know whether you're understanding it or not.
I'm understanding, sir.
I'm finding it very difficult to read you. Right? Okay. Any other question?
Thank you.
Bolo. So we'll meet at
4 o'clock.
4:30 rakho ne. 4:30. By the time I have my tea and all, I've grown old now. She's saying 5 o'clock. She didn't say anything. I'm saying 5 o'clock. 5 to 7 we'll sit. Chal. I will cancel.
No, then you will postpone and not have the other one at later.
Huh?
4:30 is good enough.
5 to 7 bethte hai na. We always listen to what comes from the higher source.
That is what I am.
The higher source is always behind.
She didn't say 5, she said 4:30.
Huh? No. I read what she didn't say.
We will stick to the original plan, which you decided, and we'll go ahead with it.